Hello and welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and okay, that's third jazz in a row. So I guess we'll be. Oh wait, no, is it or is that two? I don't know. I'm gonna call it two just to keep it easy. That way, I'm keeping up with the status quo, you know. So I'm doing something a little bit different today. Not necessarily in what I'm actually doing, because what I'm actually doing is playing Wizard of Legend. Big shock. No, what's going on today is that I am actually recording like really early. It's mostly because I work in the morning and I'm up now, so screw it. What that does... Sorry about that. What that does mean ultimately, though, is that I am going to be having a very sleepy day. So we are going to do the best we can with what we have. What we have is a desire to record, a desire to put together an interesting build, and to entertain. Awfully difficult to do that second part when you're not thinking clearly. Hopefully I don't say anything too stupid. And if I do, well, hopefully you'll have the good sense to forgive me for being an idiot. Here's the thing, I have no idea what kind of build I want to do. Like, I'm just looking. So, how about we do this? We are going to look through the signatures, as I tend to do, and we're going to try to put together something interesting. Here we go. We're going to do Flame Breath. Then we're going to do the Scimitars. But then everything else will change. We're not doing Fire and Ice again. That would have worked out great had I actually found the stanza Flame. I never did. And it made me a little upset. Not gonna lie. So, let's go ahead and, we'll Delta Storm our... No, this is not Delta Storm, this is Delta Force. We'll Delta Force our way through this. Lightning, Ice, and Fire. And I think instead of Tempo... Yeah, I haven't used the Awe Robe in a bit. We'll do that. And let's run something a little different this time. Let's actually go into this upping our damage a bit instead of our critical hit rate. Because we actually have a couple of things here that work out quite nicely for just straight damage. So we're taking kind of a middle ground approach this time around, and I hope it doesn't suck. I mean, I don't think it will, but you never know. Things like this sometimes have a weird way of going awry. So it's absolutely morning time for me, but whatever time it is for the rest of you, I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope things are going the way that you want them to, and if not, I hope that you've kicked whoever's gotten in your way. Disclaimer, don't actually go around kicking people, that's just antisocial behavior. No one likes that. Alright, let's just go and see what happens. Alright, oh. Immediately with the crazy stuff. Alright, I'm not 100% certain what I want to go with. You know what? Screw it. It's high stakes day. We are going to just make this whole thing as stressful as possible. Why? Fuck it. That's why. Ow. I don't want that. I don't want this poison either, but sometimes you just don't have a choice. You know what? Cool. Grease boots it is. Alright, getting clocked over the head with a boulder really hurt. And that is your fact of the day. Getting clocked in the head with a boulder hurts. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. But Darksage, how do I avoid getting clocked in the head with a boulder? Well, I mean, you know, two options. One, dodge the boulder. Or two, don't be in a space where you can get hit in the head with boulders. I mean, it's simple advice, but it works. You'd be amazed how many times you can avoid getting hit in the head with a boulder if you're not where a boulder is. But what if I like mountain climbing? Well, see, now you're not following my advice. You're going specifically where boulders are. Hey, that is precisely the situation I told you should avoid. But if you really must mountain climb because, you know, you're a thrill seeker or you're just looking to dominate nature, you know, as you do, then my advice would be... Yeah, I'm gonna grab Aqua Vortex. My advice would be get really comfortable with dodging. I mean, you'd be amazed as to what you can accomplish with a simple sidestep, you know? Kind of unlike I did earlier, and where I ended up getting clocked in the face with a boulder. And it happened again because, you know, apparently life can be a very difficult mistress sometimes. You see, in this instance, I'm not following my own advice. I am specifically standing where boulders can be. And as you can well imagine, when you stand where boulders can be, you run the risk of getting hit by one. I don't know where I'm going with this, by the way. I'm sure you've all figured that out by now. So hopefully you're okay with me just not making sense. Ah, see, there. There is a perfect example of what to do when faced with the threat of getting hit with a boulder. You get out of the way. Like, it's very simple advice, but you'd be amazed as to how much it can really help. Alright, and then... yeah, I might want Fractal Flare, but I also want to see what relics are available. Oh, I found the... okay, what relics are available? Yeah, I might just want to upgrade... upgrade Frost Scimitar and then try for the Fractal Flare. If I can't get Fractal Flare, then whatever. Alright, so how's the run looking so far? Honestly, really good. Like, it's... I can't overstate just how strong the Double Trouble Mask is. Anything here I really want? Not really. Like, it was a good... I'll take this just because, but... you know, in the long run, I would rather have another fire spell. But we've got a little bit of time to try to accrue something fiery. In the meantime, let's just be happy that we've got a sword made out of ice and crystal. Again, nothing that would be unexpected in real life. Like, if you have a sword made out of ice and crystal in real life, you're pretty much set. There you go, there's that boulder advice I was talking about earlier. Well, I mean, yeah, it's fire, but it's not exactly what I wanted. No, you see, the whole point is I want to chuck fire. I want to make sure my enemies learn a lesson in dodging large spherical objects coming to their head. You know, kind of like I was taught with the whole boulder thing, which, by the way, I'm now following my own advice. I am no longer where boulders are. Yeah, but now you're where lightning is. Isn't that a bigger problem? I mean, depends on who you ask. I think a lot of people would just rather not have to deal with boulders. See, lightning is a whole nother thing. It's hard to dodge lightning. Which, yes, of course, that brings up the idea of why not just be where lightning isn't. And, you know, you have a point. But this is one of those scenarios where you don't really have an option. Like, if you want to get through the Lenova trials, sometimes you just have to be where lightning is. And you know, when that's the case, then, you know, first things first, don't wait for the thunder, because light moves faster than sound. But also, more importantly, if you can actually dodge the lightning 200 times in a row without getting hit, then you get a really powerful doll. So, you know, if you're going to put yourself at risk, might as well get a reward out of it, right? Alright, you. No. Oh, hey. Interesting. Probably more useful than Firewall. Though I'm not exactly a huge fan of either one for this particular build. I've got Frost Scimitar to help out with the hit stun. Now, on the point of dodging lightning, we're actually in a very unique position as we're the ones throwing the lightning. So, do I have any tips if you're the one throwing the lightning? Well, yes, actually I do. Tip number 1, make sure you hit the things that you're throwing lightning at. This again seems like a very simple thing, but you would be amazed as to how much more you can get out of your lightning when you actually hit the things that you're aiming at. Like, it's just a fantastic feeling throwing lightning at something and then hitting it and then watching it squirm and, get barbecued. Like, it's a little dark at times, but I mean, if you weren't expecting that when you were throwing lightning at things, then, what were you doing with your time? Yeah, that's fine. We'll just leave it. Then my second tip for if you're the one slinging lightning, don't throw out the thunder before the lightning, because then you've completely given away the surprise. Remember what I said earlier, thunder usually comes after lightning, not before. So if you're doing it the other way around, you're doing it wrong. So always make sure that the lightning comes before the thunder. Now, one important thing to remember when you're throwing lightning around is that it's lightning. You've got a pretty good range, but nonetheless, make sure that the things that you're throwing at are within your range, because you don't want to just end up short, especially when you're working with something as essentially limitless in range as lightning. Because you're just going to end up looking silly, and then, Zeus is going to make fun of you for not throwing lightning properly. It's just a bad look, so make sure that whatever you're throwing at is within range, so you don't end up looking silly and like you don't know how to throw things. Oh, hey. That could have ended it poorly. Okay, we'll grab this. And then, okay, we'll grab that. And that. I'm surprised that they didn't put these, like, these things that are reactive upon taking hit together as one group. I guess they figured if they grouped up too many relics, you'd be able to carry too many things at once, and then there would just be no challenge to the game anymore. No, I like everything I have. Then my last major tip for if you're the one slinging lightning is remember to actually sling lightning. Like if you're trying to sling lightning and you accidentally sling fire, well, first of all, good for you for mastering multiple elements. I can grab that too. But ultimately, you don't want to mistake one element for the other, because otherwise you're just confusing people. Remember, electrocution is not the same thing as burning. It can be very similar at times, but it's not the same. So I'm thinking about Thundering Chain, but I don't know, I think I'm actually okay with what I have. Oh, hey. We end up getting the analytical monocle anyway. Good show, mate. Owie. Six. Okay, no perfect storm for me. I don't think I'll need it. Alright, so we've now talked about how to successfully dodge boulders, or how to deal with them. We've talked about how to deal with lightning, and as well as given some tips for how to handle things if you're the one slinging lightning. But now comes the real tricky part. How do you dodge tornadoes and wind? Well, we are talking about something that's pretty much omnipresent so long as you're outside. So my first tip to avoiding wind is don't be outside. Like I can't understate that enough. Like if you really want to dodge wind, you should just not be where wind is. It's very similar to dodging boulders in that respect. Yeah, no. I'm okay. Like, Sub-tip to that, if you're really trying to avoid wind, then also, if you're inside, don't open windows. Like the whole idea is to not let wind get you. So if you want the winds to not get you, you have to not give it an avenue to reach you with. Now, what if you have to deal with wind? Like in my current situation, what if you have to be around wind and storms and tornadoes and, all sorts of blustery, gusty goodness that wants to rip your face off? Well, I would suggest if you're trying to learn how to dodge wind, I would suggest, I know this is very counterintuitive to the advice I gave earlier, but maybe wear rocks. I know it goes against what I said earlier, but hear me out. If you really want to avoid the winds just reaching you and doing bad things to your face and your organs and your buttocks, then you might just want to wear rocks. Now, this does, of course, involve going into spaces where boulders can get you. But that's where you have to master the other art of sidestepping. The boulders can't get you if you sidestep them. We've been over this already. Now, the issue with wearing rocks to avoid getting lacerated by wind is that the rocks do eventually erode. Wind and water tend to erode stone, so try to avoid wearing rock armor. Well, A, don't wear it to bed. That's just a good way to cramp up your joints and not be able to move right. But secondly, and perhaps most importantly, is don't wear the rock armor for, a few thousand years. If you're trying to avoid erosion, then you have to, change out the rocks every now and again, is what I'm getting at. I can't tell you how many times people have put on rock armor only to be very confused a few thousand years later when their rock armor is no longer a rock armor, but more like, a rock t-shirt. It's just a really bad feeling expecting it to protect, and then it doesn't protect. We've all been there, right? So, make sure you change out your rocks every few thousand years. Now, you might be saying to yourself, but Dark Sage, I don't have that kind of lifespan. Well, that's okay, I've got a very simple solution for that. You see, when the end of your life comes, just don't die. It's an amazing solution. I'm surprised no one has ever thought of it before. So if you just don't die, then you actually have it has the very, you might call it an unintended consequence, but it has the consequence of expanding your lifespan. See, but then you also run into the issue of you have to change out your rock armor, and that's just a real pain for everybody involved, so... You know, I guess you need to decide for yourself. Do you actually want to die, or do you want to have to change out your rock armor? Like, it's a difficult decision, I know, but... I think you'll find in the long run there are pros and cons to both sides of the argument. Or I suppose you could also just make your armor out of metal, but, you know, do you really want to be seen as some sort of medieval times apologist? I don't think so. Make your armor out of rocks. Ah, nuts. Well, that didn't work out right. Okay, this is a much harder fight than I thought it was going to be. But see, part of that was I didn't listen to my own advice. I'm not wearing armor made out of rocks, so the wind could get me. So this brings us to our last lesson. Dark Sage, I'm afraid of the dark. How do I avoid the dark? Well, if you want to not get gotten by the darkness, then you have to spend all of your time in the light. So my first suggestion would be to follow the sun, like obsessively, and like a scared child, just follow the sun. My second piece of advice is don't ever look down. That thing following you, you don't want it. Oh, I missed. Oh, that was not smart. Yay, victory! Alright, well that is it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this build, or more importantly, enjoyed me tearing through things with the Double Trouble mask. If you did, of course, the usual like, comment, subscribe, share video, ring bell would be appreciated. I hate having to go through all 5 steps. Remember the advice that I gave you, and maybe later on we'll talk about how to avoid ice and water, and what to do if you're stuck in a bonfire. There's almost no way I'm going to remember that, but I'm sure one of you will remind me. But that's it for now. Thank you guys very much for watching. I appreciate you coming and spending your free time here with me today. It is now time for me to go get ready for work, so I hope this video finds you well. I hope you're having a fantastic day or night wherever you may happen to be, and I will catch you in the next one. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and you take care, everybody.